This episode may be polarizing. We have Dr. Shawn Baker, a certified surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, and author of The Carnivore Diet, CEO of Meat RX. And he is on an all red meat diet with a little bit of eggs and very little cheese. He does acknowledge this diet is not for everybody, and certainly we are not advocating for this diet. We are simply bringing a point of view about your health and about your diet and about watching what you put into your body. So listen, absorb some information, and maybe find out some more about it. And in the future, we will have some other thoughts on diet, exercise, and things, as we all need to stay in great health to be able to perform at a top level as we expect to. Enjoy.
All right, welcome everybody to another edition of the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today we are excited to have Shawn Baker. He is the author of Carnivore Diet, the CEO of Meat RX, and in a past life, a former nuclear launch officer in the Air Force. Welcome, Shawn.
Dave, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming. So today, I'm sure some people are thinking, what does the author of The Carnivore Diet have to do with fixed operations, service and parts within a dealership? And obviously, it has to do with your nutrition and how well you can perform at your peak. And so if I start with the fact that you were in the Air Force, obviously that's leadership. And that's one of the things we talk about here is leadership. And part of leadership is making things easier for your team. And one of the things that as I read through your book, one of the things that becomes crystal clear is it's a fairly easy diet to follow, right?
Yeah, that is definitely one of the benefits of it. You know, it's basically, it could be as simple as eat some steak, and what do you eat? You eat more steak when you're hungry again. And I mean, that works pretty well for a high percentage of people. Yes. So, yes, there are definitely some advantages to being simple.
Yeah. So, I mean, Bill Gates always talks about having fewer choices. That's why he wears the same clothes all the time. He doesn't have to make a decision on what to wear when he gets up. So what is the basis of the carnivore diet and your Meat RX platform?
Well, the basis of the diet is it's, basically prioritizing animal source nutrition. This is a evolutionary appropriate diet for human beings, as far as, we certainly evolved due to the fact that we, were able to acquire large quantities of highly calorie and nutrient dense meat, as we kind of progress along our evolutionary journey from, an Australopithecine with a 300 cc brain up to a modern human, including a Neanderthal, up to a 1700 cc brain. And so that was what drove much of the human evolution, much of the brain size, the reduction in gut size. It's what distinguishes us from other primates. But more importantly, I mean, that's a nice argument to make, and we certainly can make that. Certainly living in an ice age, which is what most of humanity was. And when I talk about humans, I talk about everything from Homo habilis on forward to include Homo erectus and ultimately Homo sapiens. We spent the majority of that time in an ice age. And so, there were certainly a lot of environmental pressures throughout the world to survive on animal source foods. Plants were not readily accessible at all times of the year through all geographic locations. And so animal foods were what we could rely on. And many people in the anthropologic field would argue that, again, animal foods were critical for our development. Did we eat purely animal foods? Probably not. I mean, clearly, when we came across a patch of berries that were edible and not poisonous, we would have eaten them. But the more important part of this diet is what it does to people, clinically in 2020. I don't care, 150,000 years ago, it's irrelevant to today. What is happening to people today? Well, what's happening to people today, that people that are fat, sick, depressed, diabetic, people with autoimmune disease, inflammatory disease, cardiometabolic disease, are going on meat-only diets or meat-based diets, and they are dramatically improving those things. These people are noticing tremendous improvements in health. They're seeing tremendous improvements in performance. They're seeing tremendous improvements in body composition. They're seeing tremendous improvements in mental health, whether it's mood or even cognition. So I think those are the things that are incredibly important. Is, you can be on a diet that is not the industrial diet. Our modern diet is complete trash. The foods that the food companies manufacture for us are not even human appropriate food in large cases, or in most of the cases. And so this constant diet of completely species inappropriate food results in a fat, sick, just pitiful society. And, it trickles down to leadership roles, to follower roles, employees. I mean, when you're leading a bunch of fat, sick, depressed people, you don't get much done. And when you're leading a bunch of robust, vigorous, healthy people, you're going to be more successful in any endeavor. If you're looking at an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to hear you talk about the fact that most of the life on the planet was lived during an ice age. So I'm sure a lot of people, when they think of healthy eating, they're thinking of a big plate of salad and eating some vegetables and things. And I know I've heard you talk before about the way that our body digests that. And you just mentioned that the stomach has shrunk, but also that we can't ferment things in our stomach the way that maybe we did at one point. And so even though you could eat those things and they have vitamins and minerals and whatever in them, that we can't necessarily access them to enhance our performance as human beings. Am I correct in thinking that?
Well, with a few corrections there. So it's not really our stomach size. Our stomach size actually remained pretty good volume. When we're talking about our gastrointestinal tract, what we lost was fermentative capacity in our hindgut. So if we look at a chimpanzee or a gorilla, which people will often say, we compare to those, they have tremendous fermentation capacity in their colon, in their cecum, which is kind of the lower intestines. And in fact, if we look at what a gorilla eats, what a chimpanzee eats, they spend, a gorilla's eating something like 40 to 60 pounds of food a day. And they have to digest that and ferment that, and they have a big giant cecum to do so. And the majority of that is turned into short chain fatty acids. So that high fiber diet is actually being absorbed as a high fat diet. And so when humans began to access actual fat in the diet in significant quantities, they lost the dependence on converting fiber into fat. And so now we've traded this huge giant gut of large intestine for a gut that is mostly small intestine and stomach, and a very acidic stomach. And so if we do actual anatomic comparisons between animals and their anatomic capacity to ferment food, we fall at about 17%, which is right in between cats and dogs, which are like 16 and 18%. So we are clearly designed to be what many people would say is a facultative carnivore. And what does that mean? A facultative carnivore means, yes, we can eat omnivorously, and clearly humans do, but we thrive when we are on a meat-based diet. And that is, the majority of the meat of our diet comes from meat, or even all of our diet comes from meat. I've been eating nothing but meat, and I will include meat, including eggs and seafood and stuff like that. But I've had no plant material of any consequence for nearly 4 years now. And here I am. I'm still alive. My brain still works despite the lack of carbohydrates. Or some people would argue my brain doesn't work because of what I say. But I'm performing as a very extremely high-level athlete. I'm in the best shape of my life. My body composition is better than most guys in their 20s. If you follow me on social media, you'd see that. So, it's not that you can't get nutrition from plants. They are a fallback food. They are what happened is when, we went through a species extinction of large megafaunal animals somewhere between 125 and 25,000 years ago. So the human species, through overpredation most likely, or environmental changes, we saw this dramatic loss in our food supply. Our food supply was, quite frankly, elephants and mastodons and mammoths. We hunted those guys with regularity, with no difficulty whatsoever. It's actually quite easy for a human being with a spear to kill an elephant. It's done all the time through all over the world. It's still being done. It's very easy for us to do that. Clearly, the anthropologic records show that we did that with regularity. And once that food supply dried up, we were forced to eat smaller, leaner animals. We were forced to develop new technology like bow and arrow technology, which evolved around 60,000 years ago. And so as we started to eat leaner and leaner animals, and we didn't have access to the really rich, fatty food that elephants would have provided, now we had to develop other strategies to get our energy needs met. And then we turned more and more to plants. And so Eventually, that led to the harvest of sort of the development of grain technology, where we could extract nutrients from grain about 10,000 years ago for most of the world. And then we developed agriculture, and then the human species just went downhill. We lost 200 cc's of brain size. We shrunk by 6 inches. Our dentition went to crap. Our bones fell apart. Humans have become a weaker, less robust species since we started agriculture. It's clear as day in the anthropologic records. When we were elephant-killing, meat-eating monsters, I mean, we were bigger, stronger, faster, with bigger brains. That's what human beings, that is our natural food. And the plant-based stuff, hey, the plant-based diet is better than the standard American bullshit diet. I mean, that's for sure. But it's not our natural diet. And I would argue, all day long that a meat-based diet is far, far superior to a plant-based diet.
So along that lines, would you say that that traditional medicine has done very well at keeping that narrative that the other type of diet is a much better way to eat and things like that? I mean, obviously fat has been demonized in at least the American society, that it's been demonized as the worst thing that you could possibly eat, and everything you should have is lean. And I mean, I see a big difference. I see a functional medicine doctor, not a traditional medicine doctor, and I see such a large difference in his approach to my health, where he is much more concerned with keeping me healthy as opposed to treating a disease that I get.
Well, I mean, if we look at the current model of the healthcare system, and we kind of went the wrong direction. We are now not a healthcare system. We are a disease maintenance industry. I mean, all we do is maintain people in their state of disease with some level of symptomatic improvement via increasing numbers of pharmaceutical interventions. That is not helping people, quite frankly. I mean, we are getting fatter, we are getting sicker, we are seeing higher prevalence rates of diabetes, higher prevalence rates of heart disease. Heart disease, cancer, obesity. It's going up. It's not getting better. We might help these people live a little bit longer, but we're not helping the disease, in any way, shape, or form. There is a lot of conflict. As a physician, as an orthopedic surgeon, my training, 20 some years ago, was sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry. I was trained to cut people open, do procedures, and prescribe drugs. I mean, that was what my education was about. This is who designs the curriculum. This has been going on for, since basically the medical system started. The demonization of fat, there's been a lot of evidence on conflicts of interest paid for by certain industries that profit from their system. And so right now the pharmaceutical industry is the largest lobby in the country. They give something like $300 million a year to the federal government, and lobbying dollars alone, they blow away every other industry. So we are set up to be a drug addicted nation, a prescription drug addicted nation. We have co-opted food into that. We have just a food system. And, again, this is big business. They want to make money. And guess what makes them the most money? Selling cheap, highly processed, materials and turning it into stuff that tastes good and telling people it's healthy for you to eat. So the majority of the human diet Western human diet is, it's refined grains, it's sugar, it's seed oils. And that's like 50% of our diet. And then, 70% of our diet is plant-based. We are already on a plant-based diet on the United States, and, doubling down on that's only going to make it worse. We eat an abysmally small amount of meat, particularly red meat. I mean, the average American eats about 2 ounces of beef a day. That is a tiny amount relative to the rest of the food. I mean, the average American's eating something like 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. 2 ounces of that is coming from beef. How the hell is beef causing all of the issues when you're only eating 2 ounces on average? I will tell you, somebody that eats often 3, 4, 5, even 6 pounds of red meat a day, the effects of me have been nothing short of phenomenal from a good health standpoint. So we have really done a disservice to the population with our current healthcare system. And like I said, the MeatRx platform, which we've developed, which is a just tremendous community, we are undoing that every day. We're getting thousands of people healthy by just utilizing good common sense, common lifestyle stuff in food. There's, some people say food is medicine. Well, sure it is, but I mean, the wrong food is poison too, quite honestly. And I think we have that issue going on. So yeah, we're messing up. We're not doing anybody any favors with the current healthcare system.
Yeah, so on your MeatRx community, it's meatrx.com is where people can find that, and that people can go there and hire coaches to help them through this and things also.
Absolutely. So one of my goals is to make this accessible and affordable to as many people as possible. So we've trained hundreds of coaches. They've just got to, it's for 30 minutes, it's $18 for a coaching session, which is just incredibly affordable for most people. You think about any other one-on-one, coaching interaction or interaction you have with another person, and you're going to be hard pressed to find something so affordable. It's, like I said, I'm there every single day, interacting with people on the platform. It's a large community platform of support because a lot of people don't get support. One of the things we know is if you're going to do some lifestyle intervention and you have no support, the odds of being successful are dramatically decreased when you don't have support system. And so we are a huge support network. We are the biggest source of information for anybody that is interested in pursuing a diet strategy that includes animal products to a large degree. And that's what we're about. Like I said, we've been very successful at growing this community. I think the members are incredibly appreciative of that, and they really value that. And I think I value the members too. And we have a great, back and forth. So that is what, my passion has been. I think it'll be what I'll do for the foreseeable future. And hopefully, instead of impacting thousands of lives, we'll be impacting millions of lives. And I think we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a terrific platform, and certainly support is extremely important in anything you're doing in life. Anything that you're trying to do alone is very hard to do. It's always better with a support system and a team. So also you have some a fundraiser that you're doing to get some research done to help bring this diet. I don't know if you actually call it a diet, but this lifestyle to the forefront a little more.
Yeah, so we've got literally tens of thousands of people that have reversed all kinds of diseases. Some things that were just utterly miraculous. People that have been suicidally depressed for years, on medications for decades, coming off all medications, people with PTSD, people with intractable, inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, they're coming off all medications, normal blood sugars, normal blood pressures, all these things just improving dramatically, tremendously. We've got hundreds of those testimonials up listed, thousands of people that have changed their lives. But the criticism is constantly been, well, there's no clinical data, there's no peer-reviewed trial to back up what these claims are. And so we are endeavoring to do so. And, so we've talked to a number of very high-level researchers that are more than happy to do. They want to do this study. But unfortunately, these studies are not cheap. And, we're trying to raise funds for that. And so we've, put a target, a first target of $200,000. We started raising last week. We're about a third of the way there. We've got about $65,000 raised so far, just through the support of the community. And, like I said, we're trying to, get people to, help us make a difference, because the clinical trial will empower a lot more physicians to prescribe this as an option for their patients. Right now, there are physicians out there that do it, but they are kind of doing it with some concern about retribution, about, what'll happen if, people say you're prescribing a diet that's not been, clinically tested for safety. So one of the things we want to do is verify it's, number one, it's safe. That's one of the number one goals. Two, it's efficacious. It actually does what we think it does. And also that it's sustainable for the people that, that can do it and stick to it, with the support we provide them. So if we can show those things, then we'll have more and more buy-in, and hopefully it'll generate more interest to do more studies, because I honestly believe this can be one of the most, in fact, in my career as a physician, in the several decades that I've been doing medicine and been involved in health, I've never seen a more powerful intervention for almost any disease process, particularly chronic disease. And so if we have this in our tool chest, in our tool belt, and physicians feel empowered to do this, we will impact millions of people's lives, and we'll end the suffering of millions of people that are suffering needlessly. These people that are going from doctor to doctor to doctor, and the doctor's scratching and says, I don't know, here, take this other pill. I'm going to send you to another specialist, and he's going to run more tests. We're going to put you on more pills, and you never get better. That is the frustrating thing, and that is a waste of money, and it's a waste of time, and it's unnecessary suffering. And I am trying to show that by eating a human species appropriate diet, most of the illnesses that we are faced with are the result of lifestyle, inappropriate lifestyle, and diet plays a huge role in that.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, right now, I think the traditional thinking is that if you're living a healthy lifestyle and eating properly, that you're probably eating 5 to 6 times a day, right? They tell you to eat those small meals 5 to 6 times a day. But is that really required for what does a human being really need for nutrition? Do we really need as much as what they tell us?
There unequivocally, and human biochemistry shows us this. This is not even in the least bit controversial. We need essential fats. We need essential proteins, or essential amino acids, rather. We need vitamins and minerals. We do not need any carbohydrates. We do not need any phytonutrients. We do not need any fiber. As human beings, there is no biological requirements for any of that stuff. You can get all the things I listed, the amino acids, the fats, the vitamins, and minerals from animal products, 100%, including vitamin C. You can get all your nutritional needs met. You do not need those other things. Those things may have conditional benefit, particularly if you're eating a standard American crap diet. You might get some benefit from some quote unquote antioxidant or phytonutrient and inflammatory effect from these things. But if you're not inflamed, if you're not eating garbage, those things become completely not only unhelpful, but in some people potentially even deleterious in some regard. So, I've got people who've been doing this for 20 plus years that are, they literally look 20 years younger than their reported age, and it's just, when you are not eating the garbage, the diet is so much better. You can live completely on an animal-based diet with no issues whatsoever for the vast majority of people long term. Now, there's a transition period. Many of us are addicted to carbohydrates. Many of us, our physiology has been wrecked by the wrong diet, and it takes a while to adapt. The thing is, most people as they age, they accept, things. They accept low back pain. They accept a big, a gut. They accept low libido. They accept low energy. They accept, being confused. Oh, you're just getting older. That's all bullshit. None of that is acceptable. You shouldn't accept any of that stuff. You should be able to do the things you did in your 20s, in your 50s and 60s without any detriment in your overall health, or minimal. What we accept as normal or average is, quite frankly, accepting disease is unnecessary. And, that's the mindset. You should be lean, physically strong, robust, athletic, well into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, in my view. And I think that's achievable for a lot of people.
And certainly that would be great, because we've certainly got a lot more knowledge by that time, and to be able to use that knowledge for a longer period of time has great benefits to many, many people out there. So Shawn, where can everybody find you and make sure that they can connect and become part of the community?
So obviously, if you want to interact with me directly and talk directly with me, meaterx.com. I'm there every day. You can start and join for free for a month. I put a meeting on every single day. My social media, I'm fairly active on. My Instagram is probably my biggest account. That's Shawn, SHAWN, Baker, BAKER 1967. I'm also on YouTube, Shawn Baker. Just type in Shawn Baker. You might want to type carnivore after that. You'll get my YouTube channel. Twitter, I have account S Baker MD. I think it's capital S, capital B, and then capital MD. So S Baker MD. I'm on there, but every day like I said, the MeaterX thing is probably where you're most likely to have direct interaction with me. If you want to ask me questions directly, that's where I be.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll make sure to put all that in the show notes for people to be able to reach out and get connected with you. Thank you very much for spending some time with us today. In an industry where, unfortunately, a lot of the leaders are becoming more and more sedentary and spending more time in their offices rather than moving around. Every bit of health information is extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, you can be a leader and successful in business, but you can be fat, sick, and depressed. And when you retire, you're not going to enjoy it. So you got to take care of your health. And I tell you what, eating a meat-based diet is easy. And you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at how good you feel and how much you want to do. Change your life. So give it a try.
Excellent. Shawn, thank you very much again for joining us. And hope to get another chance to talk a little bit later when some people have given this a try and we can get their testimonials on there also.
All right, dude. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast. It helps extend our reach and get this into the ears of more people. We have more exciting guests coming up, so make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast.